1973. Gordon Anderson, Fitzroy Williams, Vivian Wallace, Oliver Cruikshank, Pat Patrice, Julie Morrill and the brothers, named Exile 1. They went to a tour in Paris, and they were more or less requested to play a dance. But then the music people were just viewing them, looking at them, and the promoter of that particular event told them, well, they need to get the people to dance. So what they did is they creolarized their repertoire. So they had the repertoire of the day, maybe some calypso, some spooge, some reggae, and they creolarized, fusing Haitian cadence rampa or compa with calypso, and that was the birth of cadence-lypso in 1973. So as we speak, we now celebrate 52 years of that particular genre. And that particular genre brought the name of Dominica to the four corners of the globe. African continent, we had sounds that were #1 throughout South and Central and Latin America. We had sounds that reached as far as Japan, even the most difficult Caribbean market, Jamaica. Rosita was #1 throughout that particular country. We had the Gramax International playing at the Super Bowl in 1976. Just imagine a Dominican band playing at the American Super Bowl. And that's how huge cadence-lypso was for Dominica, and continues to be, because if we didn't have that particular genre created, I don't think we would have had the authenticity to tell the Creole world, the Francophone world, that we are truly the home of Creole and the mecca of Creole integration, and most of all, host a World Creole Music Festival. The beautiful thing about cadence-lypso, it was the first time that a Caribbean movement fused two genres to form one. Reggae was already playing as ska during those days. Barbados, spooch, but here is Dominica, 70,000 strong, coming together, and two genres fusing. Now the beautiful thing about cadence-lypso music, it impacted several other genres. It impacted Zouk, where Pierre-Edouard Decimus and Gordon Anderson were part of a band called Levy King, even before the formation of Exile 1. Now you would later see Pierre-Edouard Decimus and George Decimus and Jacob Duvalier forming Kassav. So the direct offspring of cadence-lypso music was Zouk, and that is the music of the French Antilles. Then we later see the offspring soca. And it is interesting to know that prior to cadence-lypso music, calypso was a different type of genre, we all know. But then Lord Shorty resided at the hotel, Astor Hotel, that is just across TBS Radio there at the time. And he came across to a performance with Exile 1 at the Fortune Hotel, so just walking distance. And that spurred him to create a song, Udi Mwe Upiti Shorty. And to us, to our mind, it actually changed the foundation of what they now call soca and give it a different touch, a different feel. And then we saw soca being an offspring, even if they do not want to accept it. But it was a direct influence of he being in Dominica and creating a particular sound from Lord Tokyo and Chris Seraphin, fusing whatever elements he performed and to a beat called soca. We later saw when Cornell, Fingers Philip, and Ra, if you listen to them carefully, the beat, there's a drum lapocap with beat into bouillon, which is the foundation of it, also the foundation of a lot of cadence-lypso music, because it's important to understand our indigenous influences is inculcated into the both genres. So if you listen to the early days now of cadence-lypso music and the early days of bouillon music, you're going to see that close relevance. And if you speak to both Ra and Cornell, they will tell you, yes, that was a direct connection to the influence of the creation of bouillon music, and very prevalent in bouillon music. You can feel those musicologists who follow music intensely and closely will see they are interlinked. So cadence-lypso was basically the foundation of several genres to have, came out soon after the creation of this particular noble and, to my mind, the greatest Creole genre, cadence-lypso. The pioneers of cadence-lypso are varied. Gordon Henderson continues to play cadence-lypso. As a matter of fact, he headlines festivals in La Réunion, that is in the Indian Ocean, in Martinique, Guadeloupe. Just recently, before Carnival, he had a showdown with one of Martinique's greatest musicians, Simon Jouad. So despite the fact that he was part of the creation, he named the genre, cadence-lypso music, he continues to be relevant and still performing at 70 plus years. So he would be the icon, and it is very important to understand. When the Creole Festival was conceptualized in 1997, at the center of that initial flyer was Gordon Henderson, a portrait of Gordon Henderson playing the keyboards. So to me, he would have been the most, let's say, sensational figure within the movement, not only naming it, but part of the creation. But I think his exploits, he led Exile One to getting international recognition, selling over 100,000 copies, and we're talking about before the advent of social media. They also led Exile One to getting a record label with Barclay Records. Dominica band, imagine a Dominican band getting a major record label, Barclays. So I would have him as possibly one of the major faces. Jeff Joe from Gramax International also was a major force. He was widely known, and his music influenced all over the Francophone world. Ophelia would also be one of the highly recommended face of cadence-lypso music, because she did something that was unique. Ophelia, as a matter of fact, when she came to the scene, it was more of a masculine front. You would more get men at the front of various bands. But when she came to the fore, she brought a level of respectability, not only as a woman, but she was a married woman, and she was also a university graduate. So a lot of these Zouk artists, we see the female Zouk artists, like the great Joyce Lindbauer of Kassav, used to back up Ophelia during the days. And she possibly, is one of the major forces. If you have to speak about people that come from Dominica alongside the Prime Minister, it would be those three. Anytime you call those three names, you can identify with Dominica. Then there's also Anthony Gussie, who is presently in La Réunion. He was the vocalist and player for Black Affairs. Very instrumental also. And there were several other vocalists and bands coming to the fore, but those three names, to my mind, would have stood out more. And mainly because even Jeff was actually given an ambassadorial status in Martinique, in terms of he would have promoted Dominica, but also promote the Fond de France movement. And that's how, really prevalent. When Jeff Joe died, there were several homages to him played in Martinique, whole week in Martinique, whole week in Guadeloupe before he came to Dominica. It was kind of sad that we just buried him after in Dominica, but that is the level of influence that these guys had on the Creole and French market. We had a special tribute to him the following edition of the festivals, and most of the bands that came down did something of Jeff Drew, because he was one of those that promoted the festival from the inception. Gordon Anderson was the overseas coordinator. He used his own resources at the foundation of the festival, the genesis of the festival. These guys brought down international press, RFO, RCI to cover, and the image has gone global because RCI, RFO are seen all over Africa, all over France, all over Europe. So this cannot be understated because of this guy's tribute and contribution to Dominica. We seem to sort of have it at a lower level than it really is, because I don't think we understand the magnitude of what cadence-lypso did and what these guys did for Dominica. On the local scene, you can say Midnight Groovers easily because of the type of music they play. It is sort of quick pace and has a kind of pulsation vibes to it. And that's the beautiful thing about cadence-lypso music. The bands were varied. Exile One played different from Gramax. Gramax played different from Below Men. Below Men different from Midnight Groovers. Likewise, Wafrikai, Black Affairs, B Blood, and the list go on and on. They were all distinct. And that is why it is very important, and was very important then, for Franco people to gravitate towards it. As we speak, in Reunion in the Indian Ocean, cadence-lypso is as popular as it was in the 70s in Dominica, because it was something, as a matter of fact, it became part of the culture. So it's kind of sad when this is happening out there from a genre Dominica created, and we ourselves here are not appreciating it. Per capita, we have made an exemplary mark in Caribbean music. And even world music, 70,000 people creating two genres. I think it is a powerful and potent force to be reckoned with. You must have the foundation. So cadence-lypso, I believe in the 25th anniversary, it was to my mind, the spinal cord of the World Creole Music Festival must be featured. A lot of the musicians are alive. Ophelia is alive. Gordon Henderson is alive. Linford Akrab John, the singer of Below Men, is alive. Freddie Nicholas and Andrew Belloni Bird. All these guys just recently performed for Fitzroy Williams at his tribute and burial. These guys are alive. They continue to play and continue to play the finest in terms of music. Because it is important to know that cadence wasn't just a two-chord. These guys improvise. If you listen to their music, they had an influence of Creole jazz. The music and the instrumentation were on a different level compared to what you hear today. So I would really hope and pray that DDADFC look at having a nice, complete repas, meal of cadence-lypso as we celebrate our 25th anniversary. And likewise bouillon, because bouillon today is not bouillon of yesteryear. There are some of the greats like Derek Rapitas, when you think of the Serenade guys, even some of the RSB. Daryl Bob, for those who don't know, was very popular in Guadeloupe at one time. And I mean so popular that he would have people screaming at his performances because they had a mega hit, Ring Ting. And it was very important to note that, we had a first wave of bouillon hitting the French Antilles and hitting the Caribbean. Balance Batty continued to still be one of the hits that most Caribbean and global people can identify with Dominica because of the influence throughout the Caribbean and further afield. So it would be good to have some of those guys in the early who created the genre, who are still alive, and most of them are. Rui from the Serenade is still around, and then some of the newer guys too. People can be able to get the two sides of our bouyon music. Not only just the new, but then a story can be created from the beginning to culminate with, let's say, the most popular guys of today. So I believe whilst we have and can invite everyone else to the festival, but we can tell a story, and we are uniquely placed at the 25th anniversary to put our two genres side to side, head to head, feature them, focus on them, give them prominence, so that when we invite the world to come down, they can realize that truly Dominica is blessed with some of the finest musicians and the finest cultural celebration you can ever find, indigenous, authentic celebration you can ever find. What I'd really like to live is we continue to honor the trailblazers and also the musicians of today. Music is to be seen as a pastime. When one would have played music, let's say in the 70s, it was mainly because it was thought that that person did not have ambition. Now we have seen some musicians, when they get their business right in terms of publishing rights and copyrights, they can make a living out of it. So it is very important to understand that the music business is also as important as everything. So I would urge musicians to get their business in order, because whilst you may not have a normal pension like the other normal workers, this may be a pension to put your music in order and get it published. And I would really like to see also that we continue to respect the work and the legacy and the history, to my mind, of our today's ancestors. One of those days, our great-grandchildren will be hearing about those who live now and what they contributed to national development, cultural development. I feel cultural tourism is the backbone of Dominica presently. And we have seen what it did for Jamaica. We see what it did for Barbados and Trinidad, how important Marshall is, how important Bob Marley was, how important some of the greatest reggae acts are. And it can move a country, it can expose a country, music and sports and culture. We saw what Thea did for us. We saw what Usain Bolt did for Jamaica and the Caribbean. Take care of our legends. They once made us supreme in the Caribbean. They once made us dominant. And if some haven't made their best choices in terms of the future, we hope the country can assist them to at least live better lives in their days when they are closer to meet their maker. Because I believe what they did for Dominica is unsurpassed, is unparalleled. And I really do hope that we can see one of those days culture is given the rightful space, the hierarchy of what we export. When you look at what's going on and we look at our recent carnival, based on the music out there, the technocrats, the musicians out there, we saw the investors coming in to follow them, to follow their hits, to follow their trends. And it is one of our biggest exports. So we cannot underlook and understate that. We may need to put an avenue in place to get the data. But I think it is very important that we as a people understand the recognition of musicians, in particular of both cadence and also bouyon music.
C'est Hallelujah.